Electric cars are often hailed as the future of transportation, promising cleaner air, quieter streets, and a thrilling driving experience. However, behind the sleek designs and impressive acceleration times, a surprising trend has emerged. Electric vehicles, EVs, are involved in more accidents than their internal combustion engine, ICE, counterparts. According to data from LexisNexis Solutions, new EV owners face a higher frequency of insurance claims, revealing that the transition to electric driving comes with unexpected challenges. From quicker acceleration to the complexities of one-pedal driving, let's dive into the top reasons why electric cars may be causing more fender benders, and why some drivers are longing for the familiar feel of their gas-powered rides. Number 7. Quicker acceleration. If there's one area where electric cars outperform internal combustion-powered vehicles, it's acceleration. Battery electric vehicles accelerate much faster than their gas-powered counterparts. Take Tesla models, for instance. All of their cars boast impressive acceleration, often clocking under 3 seconds. While this provides a thrilling driving experience, it isn't always ideal for daily driving. Unlike traditional gas engines, which have a power buildup, EVs deliver instant power and torque with immediate throttle response at any speed. This can be particularly challenging for inexperienced drivers, especially in low-speed city traffic and parking areas. Most of us have learned to drive gas-powered cars and are accustomed to their throttle response. Suddenly, with EVs, the pedal sensitivity is entirely different, making it tricky to gauge the right amount of pressure in various situations. This adjustment period is especially common for drivers who switch between EVs and gas-powered cars, as transitioning from one type to the other can be quite challenging. Number 6. One-pedal driving. Some say that EVs and IC cars are the same thing, and that the only difference is where the power is coming from. However, even though they look the same, electric and gas-powered cars are completely different sports for many, and the so-called one-pedal driving is a perfect example. Namely, traditional cars feature 2 or 3 pedals, depending on whether you drive a manual or automatic. In any case, there are at least 2 pedals, one for the brakes and one for acceleration. In the case of electric cars, it features one-pedal driving, which means that you're only using the gas pedal to accelerate and brake. With this feature engaged, the vehicle starts to slow down rapidly once you lift off the accelerator pedal instead of coasting, which takes time to get used to. And while this feature definitely brings a couple of notable benefits, such as convenience and brake reservation, it can also be confusing, especially in emergency situations when you need to quickly slam on the actual brake pedal. Inexperienced EV drivers often have trouble in such situations, so it doesn't surprise that the confusion of one-pedal braking is one of the more common causes of EV accidents. Number 5. EVs are heavier. EVs may feature quicker acceleration, but they're not all that easy to handle in everyday driving. The level of convenience as well as safety is lower for several reasons, and additional weight is one of them. As you know, electric cars use power that's stored in the batteries, and to achieve respectable autonomy, these battery packs are large and heavy. On average, electric cars are significantly heavier than their gas-powered counterparts. We can take Nissan models as an example. On one side, there's the Sentra sedan, which weighs less than 3,100 pounds no matter the configuration. The all-electric Leaf, on the other hand, weighs between 3,500 and 4,000 pounds, depending on the version you choose. Even though it's a smaller car with a shorter wheelbase and less interior space, that's a massive difference for the segment, and the gap only gets bigger as we compare cars from higher classes. The most extreme example is, of course, the new GMC Hummer EV, which weighs nearly 10,000 pounds. At the same time, it features 1,000 horsepower and hits 60 in about 3 seconds, so you can only imagine how tricky it is to manage such a mix of power and weight. The problem with additional weight has been partially solved in the way that the batteries are located under the floor. They ensure low center of gravity and minimalize body lead in corners. But that still doesn't change the fact that the additional weight is much harder to control. Number 4. Tesla's quirks. EVs are cars of the future, and to accentuate that, car makers often implement all kinds of necessary and unnecessary high-tech features, massive screens, advanced connectivity features, and even more advanced drive assist systems. Those are just some of the things that come to mind. Namely, one of the first things we all learn when training for a driving license is how to start a vehicle, whether it's about turning the key or pressing the start button. There's something you need to do to start the vehicle. Not in Tesla's case. All you need to do is sit in your Tesla, and the vehicle will start automatically. It's highly convenient, but the problem is that EVs don't emit any noise or vibrations, so it's hard to tell whether they're turned on or off. Once again, the lack of experience can be quite problematic, especially at parking lots, garages, and similar places where frequent stops and maneuvers are common. Number 3. No pedestrian warning. Many like EVs because of the silent operation, which makes the ride smoother and more comfortable. But such a kind of convenience has negative sides as well, especially for those outside the vehicle, red pedestrians. The problem is that they can't hear EVs as they approach, so they can't always track their movement and act accordingly. This has been quite problematic so far, especially in parking areas as well as other areas where they participate mutually. According to some sources, the silent operation of electric vehicles causes around 2,400 injuries each year. So it doesn't surprise that the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration has decided to set a new rule for all electric cars as well as hybrids. They'll have to emit some sort of whining sound at speeds below 18.6 miles per hour. Of course, the rule applies to new vehicles, so the problem with all those EVs that are already on the road remains. Will authorities find some model to equip used EVs with this feature? It's still unknown. Number 2. Autopilot and semi-autonomous driving. As vehicles that represent the future, electric cars come loaded with advanced safety and drive assistance features. Among them, autonomous driving systems definitely draw most of the attention. Tesla advertises its autopilot, while companies like GM and Ford also offer pretty advanced semi-autonomous driving systems called Super Cruise and Blue Cruise, which offer hands-free driving ability. These systems are quite convenient, but they're far from perfect. Based on numerous sensors, radars, and super advanced software, they still need time to prove their value. They're still in the early phase, where software errors are likely to happen, which creates dangers that are not common with cars without the advanced safety features. Tesla even went so far as to allow its users to beta test the latest version of autopilot without any safety training or controlled conditions. Finally, there's the human factor. Besides misinformed drivers, irresponsible and careless ones can also take advantage of these systems. We've already received several reports of drivers falling asleep with autopilot engaged. Moreover, in one of the recent accidents, number 1, learning curve. When we put all the things we talked about together, it's easy to conclude that EVs aren't exactly the same as traditional gas-powered cars when it comes to driving. No, they have a learning curve, and that transition can be quite problematic for different reasons. This particularly refers to older generations, those with years of experience in driving gas-powered cars, as they're used to different responses of the acceleration pedal. They aren't particularly familiar with one-pedal driving mode, sound and vibration-free operation, etc. Less experienced drivers often have trouble with handling EVs due to their additional weight, while the implementation of autonomous driving and other advanced drive assist features brings completely new safety challenges. With all this in mind, it doesn't surprise that EVs participate more in car accidents than traditional gas-powered units. Adaptation to the new way of driving requires time, more than most drivers initially expect, which may be one of the reasons why a solid number of EV owners are not happy with their cars and want to switch back to internal combustion. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.